All righty. Knicks lose. Tough game. Understandable game. But a tough game nonetheless, especially when they did what they always do and they made a real push in the second half against a Bulls team that is like they are a, let's call them a feisty Bulls team, because that's what they are. They're a feisty Bulls team, and they've actually been a half decent basketball team since they started the season slowly, but still a team that you figure even the version of the Knicks that we have right now um, should beat, and that they're the better team than. And I don't think anyone's going to come out of this game thinking that the Bulls are a better basketball team than the Knicks, despite the fact that they won 100 to or 108 to 100. I think this game came down to a few things. Um, my lead storyline is, I think, has to be the fact that the Bulls, are coming off of 3 days off. They have not played a basketball game since Monday. And boy, oh boy, did you see that play out, especially in the first half, when they were flying all over the court and, making shots, and just they were everywhere, and they were doing most of their damage. They hit a few threes early for sure, but they were really doing most of their damage inside the arc, and it was all from movements and cuts, and the other main story of the game, which is putbacks. And I'll save that for a bit, but and the Knicks came out and they looked like a team that had just given it everything last night, which they did. And I'm pretty sure 3 guys played 40 minutes last night, or close to 40 minutes last night. And you saw that. I think you saw that in the early going, in how they looked, and like they were down by double digits kind of before you knew what happened. And from that moment on, it was about playing catch up. And the Knicks, to their credit, again, how many times have we said this? Sometimes in wins, sometimes in losses. They never let go of the rope. They don't know how to let go of the rope. They don't know when they're supposed to be out of a game completely, because they just keep fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting. Most of their fight came in the third quarter when they cut what was a 16-point halftime lead to 5 going into the fourth. And that, uncoincidentally, is when they actually had some energy. It felt like whatever energy reserves they had in store that they were saving, they used them in the third quarter, cut into that lead behind a not a great. It's wild that we can sit here and say these things. Not a great Jalen Brunson game. Dude scored 35 points and dished 11 assists. And I'm pretty sure he'll be the first person to tell you this was not a great game by his standards. Going back to the theme of the night, how do you know this team was tired? Tired legs. They were not putting up a lot of threes. They only put up 29 threes tonight, which tells you a lot. And Brunson only put up 5 threes out of his 28 shots, and he only made 1 of those 5. So clearly, Brunson did not feel like he had the legs under him to really be effective from downtown, and he needed to work hard for his points. But like, he worked for him, and he got an awful lot of them. Many of them against Alex Caruso, who left the game late with some kind of injury. And he got some calls, actually, which was nice to see, too. Got to the line 10 times, made 8. But 5 turnovers, several uncharacteristic. Again, like, you wonder in games like this, like, how much did these guys sleep? They had to travel, obviously, to Chicago. So not as sharp, right? And I think that goes for the entire Knicks team, because that was another one of the defining stats of the game. 18 turnovers for the Knicks. Now, I know they forced the Bulls into 17 turnovers, which kind of tilted this or kept things a little bit closer. But 18 turnovers for the Knicks is just something that they don't do. This team does not turn over the ball. It's one of their patented methods to success is they take care of the ball, they win the possession game. Well, they didn't win the possession game tonight. A little bit because they turned the ball over so many times, but I just said the Bulls turned over the ball 17 times. So how did the possession game end up how it did? The boards. And I just went to look it up, and I can't tell just by I'm looking at it. I'm trying to look at both the rebounding. I'm looking on Basketball Reference, looking at our rebounding totals throughout the year versus opposing teams' rebounding totals throughout the year. I'm fairly certain, and feel free if someone has a different answer here, that the most that we had been out rebounded in any game this year before tonight was 12, and that was by the Bucks 2 days before Christmas. Again, I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure that was the biggest discrepancy that we've seen in any game this year until tonight, because tonight the Knicks got out rebounded by, brace yourselves, 19. That is something that will make Tom Thibodeau put his head through a fucking plate glass window. And a bunch of those were on the offensive glass. 19 offensive rebounds for the Chicago Bulls and only 9 for the Knicks. Again, you will not see that disparity in it, like with this team. You'll go years before you see a disparity like that with this team. And so you look at, okay, well, how did that happen? It happened because the Bulls they're a team out of time, and they play 2 centers at once, Vooch and one of the great rebounders really in the history of the NBA, Andre Drummond. The dude still is a beast on the boards. They play those guys at the same time, which they can kind of do because Vooch can keep you honest from deep, and he made the biggest shot of the game, I would argue, the 3-pointer he hit with a few minutes left. So you can kind of get away with it, and because the Knicks were a little bit of a step slow, they didn't really have it in them to take advantage of that personnel decision by the Bulls. And so but the issue was, and this, I'm burying another one of the leads here. Normally, this is a game that you would see Josh Hart play a prominent role, because Josh Hart, doesn't matter if he's going up against someone a foot taller than him, can keep you honest on the boards. He can be a guy that allows you to move and do all the things that we saw him do last night when he scored 31 points and really juice the offense, even though, yes, I know he does not space the floor. He could do all those things while essentially being another big guy out there, even though he's 6'4", on the glass. Well, they didn't have Josh Hart because Josh Hart kicked somebody in the face and got ejected at the end of the first quarter. Did I think he should have gotten ejected? Not really. He was fouled on the same play. Like, it was that's the thing. In one motion, he was fouled because he got racked on the wrist and then flung his foot up and kicked whoever it was in the face, and he got ejected. Like, I don't know. I get it. I'm not gonna go crazy about it, but without him, I think it really hurt. Can you question the decision to leave Precious Achiuwa in there at the 4 for essentially the entire fourth quarter, alongside Isaiah Hartenstein for most of that time, again, to try to counter the Bulls' double big lineup? Absolutely, because the Bulls didn't have to guard him. He took 1 3. It was a bad shot, missed. And he wasn't particularly good inside the arc as well. He had an opportunity to make a bucket a few feet from the rim, and he got rejected. And it was essentially another turnover, because the Bulls, got out to the races. And I do think that hurt the Knicks offensively. Again, they only put up 100 points tonight. I was waiting for DiVincenzo to come in, but you could tell that. But like, I think my guess is that Tibbs felt a little queasy about pulling Precious, because if you pull Precious for DiVincenzo there, first of all, you're a lot smaller, which is, and they're already getting killed on the boards. So that's one thing. And I think the other part of it is, so OG Anunoby was guarded. He, used his minutes judiciously. I'll get back to OG in a second, because he's the biggest takeaway from the game for me, in a positive way, to be clear. But you only had 20. I would guess OG Anunoby had a minutes limit of 30 tonight, played 29. You want Anunoby on DeRozan. And so if you have Anunoby on DeRozan, that means you don't have him on one of the big guys. So, these are tough choices. And these are tough choices that are forced by limitations. And, like, I do think the Knicks, if this, like, even without Randall, I do think that they have enough to field like a complete team where they don't have to make these sort of tough decisions. But they need everybody. And they didn't have a key piece tonight in Josh Hart. So I think that really hurt them in this game. Let me finish with some positives here. I mentioned Brunson already. Again, 35 and 11 and 6 rebounds in what was an off. Like, the fact that is, we sit here now and we say that is a bad game from him is It's why he should be 5th place on your MVP ballot. Because if this is a bad game from this dude, that speaks volumes. So that's number one. And he played 42 minutes a night after playing whatever the hell he played last night. I mean, that's just like incredible. Incredible. There's no other word for it. Incredible. Equally incredible, perhaps more so, Deuce McBride. I've run out of just like I've run out of words of praise for Jalen Brunson. I've run out of words to express my shock and awe over the player that Deuce McBride has become. Didn't start tonight because OG was back. Again, we'll get to OG in a second. Played 38 minutes because he started the second half and did not come out of the game. 19 points on 11 shots. He was the one guy who could hit shots from deep tonight. Made 4 of 7. They all felt big. Came up with 7 rebounds. Wasn't perfect. Had one bad pass that led to a transition bucket for Chicago. But, like, look, he's a third-year guy who's still learning how to play the point guard position. I'm not about to begrudge him that at all. And just really turned it up defensively in the second half. And I thought he was the biggest reason why this became a game in the third quarter, his energy. And when you combine that energy and you combine that defense with the shot making, and again, we're getting little drips and drabs of it's not just making threes. He's doing some other stuff inside the arc. He had a nice drive tonight that he converted for a bucket. And you're seeing those moments more and more from Deuce McBride. So great night from Deuce. The two Knick point guards combined to score 54 of their 100 points. So what does that tell you? And if you want to throw in Alec Burks, the 3 Knick point guards still combined to score 54 of their 100 points. You know what? I want to end on a high note. So let me take one more go down in the valley. Just when you think think you're out, they pull you back in. I'm stealing somebody said that on last night's postgame. Last night, really encouraging sign from Bojan Bogdanovic. And Alec Burks only played however many minutes he played. And it wasn't awful. It wasn't dreadful. But Bogey was good. Tonight, Alec Burks played 8 minutes. They were all in the first half. I don't know that there has been a more painful 8-minute performance from a player on the Knicks this year. And if there has been, it's been another Alec Burks performance. That was a war crime against the game of basketball. He is, I mean, his shots are bad. Like, he's managing somehow to continue to turn the ball over in these short little stints. I didn't think he was going to play tonight, given that OG was back. And will he play on Sunday, assuming everybody's good to go and like they have their full complement of players? I don't know. We'll see. But like you can't have him on the court. You just can't have this guy on the court. It's gone too far. And I hope most people out here know I've been maybe not the biggest Alec Burks supporter out there. I've been right up there. And he just can't play. He can't play right now for this team. And I don't know what's going on. I mean, this is just, it's dreadful. Not to be outdone, Bojan Bogdanovic, like, again, look, this is not all on him, but we need more in 20 minutes than 3 for 9 from the field, 1 of 4 from deep, 1 assist, 1 rebound, 2 turnovers, and minus 11 in a game they lost by 8. Like, you felt his negative presence out there, in particular in the second half. I thought in the first half he was okay. Second half, no. Like, it's just, again, if you got tonight the performances from those Detroit guys that you thought you were trading for, they win this game. Because if they give you something, if they're positive together in 28 total minutes, they win this game. but they weren't. They were a negative, and they were a glaring negative, and they lost by 8. Again, not trying to put all the blame on them, but like it's also tough because, like, did I say Hartenstein have his best game? Absolutely not. Brunson didn't have his best game. Josh Hart got fucking ejected. DiVincenzo was 4 of 12 from the field. But these guys are going out there and they are warriors with what they've been able to do over the last 2+ months. So they have earned some currency and then some to have an occasional off night. These Detroit guys have not, and they've not even come close. So that's what I want to say about them. End on a high note. I mean, you never know what to take from any of the reporting at this point. Based on the Chris Haynes report from last night, who is a guy who I think tends to get his information directly from players, I kind of figured that we were just going to see OG Anunoby, if at all, on the last weekend of the season, if he was going to come back in the regular season. And here he is tonight. Nice surprise. I thought that in the first half, I think you could tell he was getting his sea legs under him, particularly on defense. He did not look like himself on defense. I thought his defense got better in the second half. I still don't think we saw the fully active, fully operational Death Star that is OG Anunoby on defense when he's going right. I'm not worried about that. That dude's going to be fine on defense once he gets his legs under him and gets more comfortable. For him to come out there and shoot 5 of 8 from the field and make 2 of 4 from deep, I think that is a bigger development and a more important development than the fact that the Knicks lost this game. Because, again, they got the win last night. So the win last night gave you a little bit more leeway with tonight. So I even said it on the postgame last night. I wouldn't be surprised if they lost against the Bulls. And I'm not really sitting here very shocked because of, again, what I opened the show with, the energy discrepancy. What OG showed you tonight, and now we just have to sit here and hope, and this is going to be after every game he plays. We have to hope that there's no setback, that he doesn't wake up tomorrow morning feeling like, no, not feeling as good. I can't, and just doesn't feel capable of playing. You just got to hope he continues to feel capable of playing. And that is my biggest takeaway from the game. Positive sign for OG